Hello, I'm Yuka House of Japan Outpost. Look at this beautiful embroidery. This was made by Sandra. Today I'm visiting Sandra to ask her about all the secret of this masterpiece. So, thank you so much for today, Sandra. So you've been working on this embroidery now. Will you tell me more about the Japanese embroidery? What would be the difference between the Western style?
One of the differences that you actually use this frame to embroider on.
Oh!
Because it's a very traditional frame that has been used, in Japan for many years. It keeps the fabric very drum tight. In other words, it's very tight because you can have quite a lot of stitches on, and it is necessary to maintain it tight while you're doing it. So you can actually tie it round here, and then you can actually lace it down the edges, and then you've got the chopsticks that you put in the edge to actually force, to actually stretch them again. So having tightened them here, you would then put the chopsticks in here to actually stretch the thread.
Where did you get this one anyway?
I got it from my teacher, Midori Matsushima.
She's Japanese. So she brought it from Japan, you think?
Yes.
Yes. Amazing.
Yes.
So, show me about these beautiful threads you have. Tell me about this.
The threads we have are flat silk. Now, the number of threads in these, there are 16 threads of silk in here, called sugas. I don't know if you can see them or not. Flat silk like this, which can be stitched, and we can actually stitch in here to actually look at the threads here. The point about the threads is that the silk is not a round thread, it is a flat thread, and so as you lay it flat and keep it flat, it shines, and the difference in different angles with it gives it a different shine. So that you can actually see that point of view.
So what's the other type of thread?
The other type of thread that you can use is this one here, which is a twisted thread. Now this one actually has 3 of these threads in, and in fact I've used these 3 threads to twist together, which will be used for the leaves. So these 3 are twisted together. Now you can use these in various different ways. I can just use one and have 3 of it. I can use that and overlap it with other ones, so I can interleave them. Or when I'm doing leaves, I do actually quite like to have slightly different ones, because you get different shades of colour in the leaf, which is pretty what you would get when you go outside and see a petal outside. So you've got 2 different ones.
So these are twisted one and then flat one. How are they different?
The flat one is actually quite vulnerable, and you wouldn't be able to use that on the bottom, say, of a kimono. You wouldn't want to, to do that. It's fragile. You can use it where it is less vulnerable, perhaps on the back of an obi or something like that, or on the shoulder. The beauty of it is that it is a very beautiful flat silk. But as you use the twisted silk, because you actually have to twist it, it then stretches out and becomes straight because of the twisting. And again, you get a different texture because the work is thicker. And again, you get the bends in it, and you can see the different shades of bends in that texture.
Would you tell me more about the difference between the Japanese style embroidery and the Western style, if any?
I think one of the things with Japanese embroidery is that there is much more control over the use of silk and the texture of it, rather than in England, which may not be the case as well. I think one of the things as well with Japanese, one of the things I like about Japanese embroidery is that there is more white space on a piece of material. Quite often on a piece of material in England, I don't know,
You usually fill the corner to corner, right?
You fill it corner to corner
Yeah,
in
that's
England,
I've seen
which
many
I don't
times.
like.
Mm.
I actually like the structure of Japanese embroidery, and you know, I think that the space does matter. That I think comes with the technique rather than the embroidery. But there are many different ways of doing Japanese embroidery, and you can of course put more than one stitch on top of another. You can actually over embroider stitches, which is quite common in Japanese embroidery.
Which doesn't happen in Western stuff.
Perhaps not so much, no.
I see, interesting. So let me ask you, when did you start doing this Japanese style embroidery?
I probably started about 6 or 7 years ago.
How did you learn about this Japanese embroidery?
My mother gave me a magazine, which wasn't very exciting, but I found an article by Midori in it. And I had actually inquired beforehand about getting Japanese embroidery, but people were a long way away, and I had children and you know all the rest of it. And she came to Burton Manor, and so I contacted Burton Manor, and that year I went on a course that June, 6-7 years ago.
So after you saw this article in the magazine, you found out that this Japanese instructor was coming to your local area. And then so you went to a sort of a course or workshop.
So I went to a course.
And then so since then you've been doing it.
Since then I've been doing it.
I see. So is there any group or anything like that?
Well, Burton Manor closed. It was run by Liverpool Council and they closed it. And we ran it privately for a number of years, a year or two, because we had nowhere to actually put it, but we needed to keep it going. But we've actually now moved to Alston Hall near Preston, where it is actually now running as a public course. And you know, if you contact Alston Hall, you can join us.
How many people are taking that kind of course?
There's probably about 10 of us running it regularly, but there are spaces for other people to come and join us.
I see. Wow. Over the years, do you think the popularity has increased or is the same?
I think it's still a very small amount that we do with it. As we do the flat silk, in order to do that, first of all you need to maintain the texture of the silk. But as you come to the bottom, you need to use the awl to actually make the thread flat and silk and straight so that it shines. Here I'm just doing long and short stitch, which is very common for anybody embroidering, is that you do that and then you can actually use a thicker thread in the middle to actually mix the two colours together, so you get a variation of colour to do it with. Traditionally with Japanese embroidery, you would actually have one hand underneath and the other one on top. So, and you don't generally turn the work over unless it becomes a total disaster. But this is the awl that actually creates the technique of keeping the technique of that flat. You always do need to have the threads coming straight towards the middle and always working in the same line if you're going to keep the threads, you know, looking parallel and looking tidy.
So Sandra, watching you do this embroidery, I was so impressed at how patient you are. I realized I won't have the patience to do that kind of detailed stitches. And what do you think about it?
You can't do it when you're impatient. It's impossible to do. You have to be calm and in rhythm with a piece of embroidery that you're doing. You can't do it when you're being pushed. It's very difficult.
So you have to be calm, and then you have to be patient, and you kind of have to have the right state of mind. Yeah, very calm.
Yes.
And I realized that that sort of a calmness of mind relate to Zen. You know, in Japan, Zen monk create this what they call kesa, and then they do lots of stitches on it. And then one of the monks told me that unless they are calm, they can't make a good stitches. And I thought it was really similar to this one.
Yeah, it is.
So it's more like a meditation. Is that? Do you feel that way?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there is something very calming and very enjoyable about doing it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like meditating.
Yes.
Only thing you do is rhythmical stitches, and then you won't be thinking anything else, right? Yeah. So it's like a meditation. It's amazing. Yeah. Were you doing Western style embroidery before you start Japanese one?
I've been doing embroidery for a long time, as long as I can remember. My grandmother was a dressmaker, and my mother has sewn clothes, so I do have their work to go with. And I can never remember not having a needle in my hand.
Wow, so you started very young.
Yeah, yes, yes.
No wonder you're so good. I see.
Yeah.
So, will you show us the other work of yours?
Well, this is the latest piece I've done, which is the latest one my daughter has. This is actually quite interesting. In all these flowers actually had to be padded before they were stitched. So we had to go through and pad these with a padding cotton underneath to make sure that they were all in the right shape. And of course, the leaves they're all done in flat silk, and the leaves are done in different colours with a little metallic thread work between them.
Beautiful.
This picture is done in fuzzy stitch, so the lines are done on the threads of the fabric and not actually joined together apart from the veins of the leaves. This picture has largely been done in flat silk. The colour in the iris is just one colour, so that as you turn it round, you may actually find that the colour of the things changes and actually returns to normal. We do, of course, have metallic thread here and at the bottom of the picture, but again, this is one I've done quite recently. This picture has substantially been done with twisted thread. The beauty about this is that you can actually get the shading of colour, because you can, if you're using 3 threads, you can actually get a multiple layer of colours because you change them very gently, going from one colour to the next. And the technique is different. The shade and the position of the parts are much deeper with the texture of the 3 threads. And of course, this is a cart of flowers. It's not just a vase of flowers, it's actually a cart of flowers.
So this is what you were talking about, actually, that in Japanese embroidery design, there are lots of empty spaces. Yeah, if it's in Western style, tend to
they can be too much
corner
more.
to corner.
That's right.
Yeah,
Which is what I don't like.
so lots of spaces.
That's right.
Yeah, I think there's some similarity with Japanese ikebana, actually.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's very interesting.
In the same way as I don't like a lot of flowers in one go as well.
So Sandra, these are extremely beautiful works of art, and thank you so much for today.
Welcome. Thank you.